Hello, happy Friday, and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for August the 8th, 2025, 8/8/25, digitally or in your journal, the second of 5 Fridays this month, and International Cat Day. I could not let that go by, or the cat people would be lighting me up. Tomorrow is National Bowling Day. If you're looking for some family fun inside, where it's cool. Today is the deadline President Trump set for Russia to accept a ceasefire or face new crippling economic sanctions. The deadline comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin and President Trump say they're open to a face-to-face meeting. Or possibly that's a stall tactic by President Putin.
They would like to meet with me, and I'll do whatever I can to stop the killing.
President Trump asked about it in the Oval Office, and today is also the deadline for Texas Democrats to return to the state's special legislative session and keep the clock from running out. Or Attorney General Ken Paxton and Governor Abbott will take the case to the state Supreme Court, as you heard on yesterday's Newsmax Daily. Democrats are facing arrest and possible expulsion from office if the clock runs out on the special session called by Governor Abbott. The governor will simply call another special session. This has happened on special sessions in Texas before, dealing with other issues. So I'm sure it's happened in other states too, but research shows me it's happened a few times before in Texas, where Democrats have tried to run the clock out on the special session. Let's jump in with President Trump talking about the first 200 days of his second presidency at yesterday's Purple Heart event.
Nice crowd. I even hear a young, beautiful voice in the background, and that's good. That makes us all feel young. I want to thank everybody for being here on the 200th day in office. This is 200 days already. Time flies. But we have a country that's the hottest country right now anywhere in the world. A year ago, it was in a lot of trouble. It's the hottest country. And a lot of the people in this room made it that way. Perhaps the most successful and consequential first 200 days, they say, of an administration in history. So let's hope they keep saying it. There they are right there. I hope they keep saying it. But even more importantly, this is also National Purple Heart Day, and we're here to honor and celebrate the unyielding patriotism and grit and devotion to America's Purple Heart veterans. Is great emotion and great love. The Purple Heart dates back to August 7th, 1782. That's a long time, when General George Washington awarded a heart-shaped purple cloth to 3 soldiers for outstanding gallantry and service in battle. This afternoon, we're joined by dozens of Purple Heart recipients and their families, and just as General Washington did 243 years ago, today we give our everlasting thanks to you and your unbelievable families. We want to thank you very much for being here. It's my great honor. We're also joined by American patriots who love our military and our veterans, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. You're doing a great job, Pete. Thank you. We're working hard together. Secretary of Veterans Affairs with 92% approval rating, I hear. That's a record. Doug Collins. Thank you very much, Doug. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. She's got a lot of interesting things happening in the last 2 months. A lot of interest. Keep it coming, Tulsi. Keep it coming. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Cain, my friend, who I knew a long time ago. He got rid of ISIS in record time. They said it was going to take 4 to 5 years. He did it in 4 weeks. That's when I said, if I get into this again, I'm going to make him the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and that's what happened. Great job. And he did an incredible job in Iran. I want to thank you very much. Great job, General. Deputy Secretary of Energy and Purple Heart recipient, James Danley. James, thank you very much, James. Great job.
The president acknowledging members of his cabinet that were at the event. Some of the people, he said, helped make the first 200 days of the administration such a success. Sitting down with Rob Finnerty, the president spoke about what he was most proud of thus far and what he hopes to do next.
Mr. President, next week we will mark 200 days, your first 200 days in office. What are you most proud of?
Maybe the fact that we've done so much, because I know you're having a hard time picking them, but the bill is the biggest bill ever passed in Congress, and it gives you so many things. Not only the biggest tax cuts, but wait till you see the job numbers. And think of this: no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors and things. I mean, the numbers are staggering. No tips on overtime, no tax on overtime. The way it looks. One of the things we did, it's like that bill is so full of goodies for people. You go out and buy a car, you could never deduct interest. If you're a wealthy person, you're allowed deductions. If you're a middle-income person or whatever, you go buy a car, you borrow money from a bank, we're letting you deduct your interest payments from taxes. We have so many things in that bill and so many things health-related. And I think it's maybe one of the things I'm most proud of. But I think most proud of that we've been able to do so much in so little time.
Is there something in the next 200 days that you absolutely want to get done?
I want to put the things that we've gotten for the people of this country in a bill that was shocking that we were able to get it. Most people thought it would never pass. You know, they thought you'd have to do it in 8 or 9 different bills, and you'd never be able to do that because there's nothing in a lot of those bills for anybody to approve. You'd never get them approved. So the concept was there's something in this for everybody. I want to really implement a lot of the things that we had. Look, we want to have a safe country. We want to get rid of crime. We have to bring back a lot of very, very bad people that were put here by the Biden administration. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing so much on health. We're bringing back so many different things. Bobby Kennedy's doing such a great job. But we have, I want to implement many of the things that we have in the bill that just got passed, that frankly was passed where people never believed it was possible to get it done. We got all those things done. Now I want to implement them.
So thus far, the president is most proud of the goodies for the people in the One Big Beautiful Bill and is looking forward to implementing those policies, those goodies, those benefits. Finnerty spoke with another member of Trump's team who is also responsible for an incredible first 200 days. That is border czar Tom Homan.
Okay, joining us now for more is border czar Tom Homan. Tom, good to see you. Let's go back a little ways. Trump marking 200 days in office tonight. The bar was set pretty low for you. The only other border czar we've ever had in history was Kamala Harris, and she told us throughout the course of 4 years that the border was closed as millions of illegal aliens poured over the southern border. Can you take us through how Donald Trump's election changed things at both the southern and the northern border?
Look, it was a complete 180, right? It's a drastic change. We went from historic illegal immigration, numbers we've never seen before, numbers we never came close to before. 10.5 million illegal aliens came to the border that we know of, right? We're not talking about the gotaways. 10.5 million came to the border in Joe Biden. And President Trump, within 7 weeks, President Trump gave us the most secure border in the history of this nation. And the numbers prove it. And so he did in 7 weeks what Joe Biden couldn't and wouldn't do in 4 years. So great success. And again, as I stand here today, I've been doing this for over 40 years. There's certainly the lowest numbers I've ever seen, but going back in history books, we can't find a more secure border in the history of this nation than we have today.
Let's say Trump wasn't reelected in November. What happens at the southern border under a Kamala Harris-run administration?
Look, what Joe Biden did, it's going to take us a decade to really address everything, all the damage he's done. Even though we're running at record speeds, we will have the largest deportation operation in history, but again, we're talking about 10 million people. If Kamala Harris would have won, we never would have been able to fix it. There's no way if we had another 10, 12 million come to the border, we'll never have the assets to chase them down and move them. But that was our plan. Look, I said many times, the open border under Biden wasn't mismanagement, it wasn't incompetence. It was by design. So thank God President Trump won, because we turned it completely around. First of all, Trump 45, the most secure border ever. Joe Biden comes in, unsecures it on purpose. Then President Trump gets back in. We even beat Trump 45. The numbers are the lowest ever, even lower than Trump 45. So God help us if she would have won. We would never been able to fix the damage that would have been done.
Take a listen to Michigan Senator. This is Alyssa Slotkin calling you out earlier this week. Take a listen.
Thomas Holmgren, who runs border policy largely from the White House, they have been a disaster. They have been un-American. They have done things that I have heard this morning in Grand Rapids from our Latino Chamber of Commerce that make you feel you are in an autocratic nation, right? And even some of the most ardent Trump voters in our state will pull me aside and say, I don't like this grabbing people off the street.
Thomas Holmgren, I don't know how she got that from Tom Homan, but how do you respond to that, Thomas?
Well, she's okay. Again, she just proved that she's not very smart, obviously. But bottom line is, what we're doing is making this country safe again. What we're doing is correct. And here's a congressperson, elected official, who buried her head in the sand under the Biden administration. We had the highest level of sex trafficking of women and children in the history of this nation. We are the highest level of national security threats coming across that border. We have over 500,000 children smuggled in the country, and they lost track of 300,000. Sex trafficking women and children all-time high. The migrant deaths over 4,000, historic high. Historic high of Americans dying from fentanyl, 250,000. And she hit her head in the sand, didn't say a damn thing. President Trump has fixed this in 7 weeks. Overdose death, down. Sex trafficking, down. No suspected terrorists coming across the border, non-existent. Number released into the United States, 0. The most secure border in the history of this nation. We're doing exactly what the American people voted for. And there's any distraction from Trump voters that we're doing too much, it's because of the fake media. The fake media says we're arresting more non-criminals than criminals, and that we're separating families, we're deporting U.S. citizens. It's ridiculous. I look at the numbers every morning. 70% of everybody ICE arrests is a criminal. Fact. Who are the rest? National security threats and fine orders. As far as the border, most secure ever.
Borders are Tom Homan on Finnerty. Not only did Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan call him Thomas Holmgren, she even stopped to correct herself from calling him Holgram. Punctuate, Holmgren. And it's not like Homan just came out of nowhere, like people don't know who he is. He was the head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement's deportation branch during President Obama's second term. Obama even presented Homan with a Distinguished Presidential Rank Award. She's a Democrat, and she doesn't know his name. Speaking of President Obama, a federal judge that he appointed to the Southern District of Florida, Judge Kathleen Williams, ordered a 2-week halt to construction at the Alligator Alcatraz Immigration Detention Center, while she considers if it violates any environmental laws. This is how the Democrats in Florida have been going after the facility and the governor when they couldn't legally do anything about it on the immigration front. The order temporarily bars the installation of any new lighting, paving, excavating, or fencing, as well as putting up any more tents, which is what the facility is mostly made up of at this point, giant tents. The order does not state any restrictions on immigration laws at the facility in the Everglades. If you remember when this first came to light as they were building it, or even before they built it, Democrats in the state and environmentalists were raising red flags over environmental concerns. But keep in mind, this is a limited use airport. Limited use, but it's still an airport. At one point in time, they thought it might be a major airport. More on immigration from Carl Higbie.
Speaking of ICE removing people who don't belong here, actor Dean Cain. Dean, this ain't your first time stepping up to the line of duty. You're actually sworn in as a reserve officer in the state of Ohio, and now you're teaming up with ICE. Wow, dude.
That's not a great picture, but
the hair looks good.
The hair is good, yeah, absolutely. You know, I put out a recruiting video for ICE because I stand with our law enforcement men and women, our military men and women, 100%. You know that very well. I just think they're real, true heroes. I get to play them on television and in films, but these are real, true heroes. And the way that police officers were vilified back in the day, and the defund the police movement caused me to join the sheriff's office in Frederick County, Virginia, and reserve police officer in Pocatello, Idaho. The way they're going after our ICE agents now is causing me to step up and stand shoulder to shoulder with them. These are wonderful, and I know you know this, hardworking, everyday Americans of all all ethnicities and all religions, and they do an incredible job keeping us safe. They're being attacked and vilified now, and people need to step up and stand shoulder to shoulder with them, and that's exactly what I'm doing. These are not monsters. They're not the Gestapo. They're none of that ridiculousness. These are great people doing law enforcement that our Congress has written the laws for.
Well, this is, I mean, we're coming up on the 200th day in office, and the White House obviously released this 200 days of winning, President Trump keeping his promises. And top of those lists are, 0 immigrants getting let into our country. Think about that, Dean. 0. They just hired, I think they had like 89,000 people apply for 10,000 open positions, in large part due to your recruiting ad that you teamed up with them on. But I mean, people are believing in Trump. They're saying, hey, I want to be a part of making America great again, sealing our border, whatever it is. I mean, you're taking huge heat in a very liberal industry to do it, and it's still working.
Yeah, but it's a weird thing, too, is this industry. So who are half the stars of their movies? It would be an ICE agent. It would be a police officer that's, put in this position. And so they make them heroic when they're making a film, but they vilify them, when someone has a good guy with a gun does something in real life. And that is just extremely weird to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But that's Hollywood for you. And listen, I don't mind taking the slings and arrows. And I've gotten so many great responses from my friends and family, and some friends of mine who are, on both sides of the aisle. They're like, tell me what's going on here. What's happening here? Because here's what I hear. Here's the story I hear. ICE are, masking up and grabbing people and snatching everybody and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not the case. They're going after bad guys first. And if you get caught up in the sweep, you're going. Now, I don't know any other country in the world, and this isn't a left or right issue. This is just a country issue. No other country in the world can you go in illegally and just expect to get services and stay there. I've had a home in Spain for 20 plus years. I follow their immigration procedures and laws to a T, and I respect what they're doing and what they have to say, and I don't try to overthrow their government while I'm over there. And I speak Spanish, so assimilate, respect America. If you're going to be here, you want to be here. Become an American and do it the right way, and we will hug you with open arms and flags a-waving.
Yeah. That's actor Dean Cain on Frontline with Carl Higbie. And if you don't know, Dean played the role of Superman and Clark Kent in the TV series Lois and Clark, I believe mid-late 90s or through the 90s. I wish Carl would have asked him for a review on the current Superman movie. I'm guessing younger kids probably like the movie, but if you, as an adult, have seen the movie, give me a review at radio_Marino. Seriously. All right. And what about Russiagate? Well, let's keep the Obama theme going with Greg Kelly.
It's better when we're at peace with Russia or at peace with North Korea or China or what have you. This is Obama right after President Trump won, and he's trying to explain his way out of Russiagate, okay? And all that intelligence that was leaked, that fake intelligence, he knows he's in trouble. He knows that this day is probably going to arrive, or at least he's worried about it. Maybe he thinks he can handle it. Watch how cagey he is with these pretty direct, semi-blunt questions.
Did the Russian hack of the Democratic National Committee and other targets actually affect the results of the election in your view?
There's no doubt that it contributed to an atmosphere in which the only focus for weeks at a time, months at a time, were Hillary's emails, the Clinton Foundation, political gossip surrounding the DNC.
Well, he's lying, but he's trying to prepare the battlefield. That was the only thing being discussed in 2016. The only thing. They were all over Trump every single day, the incoming, trying to delegitimize him in every possible way. But these are the seeds of the whole Russia mess, all of it. And you can tell, in my opinion, that he's guilty. Next.
Elections can always turn out differently. You never know which factors are going to make a difference. But I have no doubt that it had some impact. Everyone now acting surprised by the CIA assessment that this was done purposely to improve Trump's chances. And my only point was that shouldn't be treated as a blockbuster because that was the worst kept secret in this town. Everybody understood that.
It's like, it's a very careful script he seems to be following, right? The CIA assessment, however, hadn't been completed, wasn't even finished yet. They were still in the process of editing selectively, of creating a fake picture of what Putin wanted or didn't want.
That is Greg Kelly, host of Greg Kelly Reports, and I would highly encourage you to go back and watch or rewatch, if you've already seen it, last night's edition of Greg Kelly Reports. Look at Obama's body language and facial expressions during that interview. And Peter Navarro, President Trump's advisor on trade and manufacturing, who went to jail for refusing to comply with a subpoena from the House committee investigating January 6th. Do you remember the partisan committee? Navarro is demanding that the people responsible for the Russian collusion are held accountable. This was the topic of discussion on last night's Right Squad.
I know the voters want accountability, and Trump advisor Peter Navarro is pounding the drum for Obamagate accountability as well, calling out the deep state for their actions and weaponizing government against President Trump and his supporters.
I went to prison, as did Steve Bannon, for defending the Constitution, but there isn't a single person associated with the Russia hoax that's been held accountable. And the list is a long one. It goes Obama, Clinton, FBI Director Comey, and other people worked there, like Page and Strzok. It involved the intelligence community and Brennan and Clapper. And the importance of the Durham Annex is that ties it all together and brings also in George Soros and his son Alex and the Open Society Foundation. And this is the most sophisticated political scandal that's ever been engineered. No one's been held accountable. The most important thing I can tell you, if people are not held accountable for the Russia hoax, they will do it again.
So in my book, most of the people I talked to that were tainted by this lawfare said that they wanted to see accountability. They wanted to see either public hearings or indictments, for example. My question is, some of the people that are hoping for indictments, we have to think about the jury pool, right? Where the grand jury, we're in D.C., might maybe get an indictment. I'm very skeptical about a conviction based on where our jury picking is going to come from. Mm-hmm. Jason, tell me, am I right?
Well, first of all, I think you should hold up your book one more time. Let everybody know Lawless Lawfare is out and available on Amazon.
Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Target.
You can get it anywhere. The price might go up because of tariffs, but other than that, I think you should go get that. Now, again, this investigation. If you look at all of the previous investigations, they did not implicate Obama, including the Durham investigation. You can see that they found that there was no conspiracy. They found that there was no improper masking.
Well, he has immunity
The whole thing
anyway.
started, the investigation started from a credible tip by the Australian diplomat. Like, a lot of this is just kind of a nothing burger, and you can try and get an indictment. It's possible. They often say that you
We
can
have indict a ham sandwich or a nothing burger. There you go.
I think so. So we'll see what happens, but I just don't think that it's going to be something.
The Australian diplomat with ties to the Clinton camp.
We have gotten an indictment. We have gotten Charles McGonigal, who was the head of the Manhattan office for the FBI under Jim Comey. He was one of the peak purveyors of the Steele dossier. And what happened to Charles McGonigal, and what is his association with George and Alex Soros? He was the one that was funneling information, pay to play, to the Albanian communist leader. Today, he is currently in prison for that because they didn't want to put him in prison for Russiagate.
That's Tiana Lowe, part of the Right Squad with Chris Plant, weeknights, 10 p.m. Eastern. Former FBI Special Agent Charles McGonigal, who worked under then-Director Jim Comey, did also plead guilty to conspiracy and money laundering of payments from a Russian oligarch. Earlier this week, Lieutenant Joe Gamaldi of the Fraternal Order of Police told us more than 200 police officers had been shot in the line of duty so far this year. Last night in Cleveland, Ohio, 2 more cops were shot while responding to a shooting call. At last check, the shooter was still on the run. The officers are reported to be in stable condition. On Wall Street, stocks opened in the green this morning after closing mixed on Thursday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down more than 200 points. The S&P 500 was slightly lower, while the Nasdaq continued to yet another new record high. Bitcoin and most other major cryptocurrencies also higher this morning. Well, Bitcoin is pretty much flat at 117,000, but Ethereum up more than $130 at 3,900 and change, actually pushing 4,000, and XRP up 27 cents at $3.34. It will be a busy Friday in Washington and a busy weekend as well. Keep up with it all on Newsmax, Newsmax 2, and at Newsmax.com today and throughout the weekend. The news starts each and every morning with Wake Up America. That includes the Wake Up America Weekend Edition at 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern. Saturday and Sunday Report, Sunday Agenda, America Right Now with Tom Basili, Wendy Bell, The Savage Nation on Sunday night, Nancy Brinker, documentary, special programming, and so much more throughout the weekend on Newsmax. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for being a part of the Newsmax Daily Podcast. I appreciate that. Enjoy your Friday. Have a fantastic and safe weekend. We have some preseason NFL action, NASCAR, of course. Pay attention and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.